Let me start by asking you something very simple. When you were a kid growing up, do you remember having role models when it came to your job prospects or what you wanted to be when you grew up?
It's I can't think of anyone but my father. But generally, especially in this part of the world, the father is always the breadwinner of the family. It's always been like that. So by nature, it's my father, and I'm very proud to say that it is my father. Working with him now, he's very dedicated. He started his career in the government, so he worked very closely with late Sheikh Zayed Allah yarhamah, and he worked with him on several positions. He was the undersecretary of the Ministry of Finance. He was a managing director of Abu Dhabi Fund of Development, where he got the opportunity to be the chairman of Abu Dhabi National Hotels, and that's where he started off his career as well. I think he took the idea of Rotana hotels from there.
How do you contrast your experience coming in as a second generation to what you saw him do?
And let me give you a bit of background of Rotana. Rotana was founded by my father and his partner Salim Azim, whom he worked with in Abu Dhabi National Hotels. It's not a family business, but they founded it together. Okay, because it's a private joint stock company. It started off as an LLC, and he chose to bring people like Salim, and back then it was Nael who was the CFO of Ratana, and as partners and equity partners. And he did that for a reason because he said if I got them in and made them my partner, they will give 100% plus 100%. And they will make sure that our growth is very strategic, our growth is very sustainable. So that was in 1992. And the reason he decided to create the company is during his role in Abu Dhabi National Hotels, he was in the shoes of the owner or the developer or the investor in that hotel. And he had the opportunity to work with different operators like Intercontinental, Sheraton at that time, which is now Marriott, and a couple of operators. And he worked very closely with them, and he was able to tell how they were treating owners. Okay, and there was a lot that they could have done, but they didn't because they're international, they have plenty of hotels, so they did not give him enough attention as an owner. And when he left, and that's where he met the co-founder, which is Salim Azir. He met him in Abu Dhabi National Hotels. He was, I remember at that time, the general manager of Hilton Abu Dhabi. And when he left, changes, transition happened, changes in leadership. A lot of people from the good ones left, including Salim. Salim, who's now the co-founder and the vice chairman of the company. So they came up to him. They said, we're leaving. We're not happy anymore. So he said, I worked very closely with those people, and I don't think it's the right idea for them to leave. At that same time, his best friend, who is His Highness Sheikh Surur, and he also used to be in Abu Dhabi Fund of Development as the number two guy, was building his hotel, and it was supposed to be a Marriott. So he kept on thinking. He said, I have good people, and my father always believes in people. He says, if you have good people, you'll always be able to be successful. You have to take care of your people, and he believes in talent. So I have very good, like I have a handful of talented people who are not happy where they are, and I know what they've done. So why don't I create a company? And he went to His Highness and he said, back then, I don't know if His Highness was a bit shy or not, but he said, yes, you can take it. You can manage it yourself. And they started off in 1992 with one hotel.
Did you take a conscious decision that you were like, I am going to go into the same sector. I'm going to follow my father's footsteps, or I'm going to join him in business.
I think it was meant to be because in 2008, I graduated from university. I graduated from Zayed University in 2006, 7. I started my career in KPMG. I chose KPMG because it's an international company. It's going to give me enough the exposure I always wanted, and I studied finance, and I felt that's the most relevant field for me. So that's the reason I chose KPMG. I then was approached by him in 2011, I remember. He said, Sheikha, why it's about time. It's been 3 years with you. And I wasn't satisfied yet. I was a fresh graduate. I had a lot of expectations from my experience with KPMG, and I didn't feel back then that it was fulfilled. I wasn't satisfied. So I then decided when he said, come, I said, let me do it. And he said, you know what? Because you're so into audit, why don't you come in and establish an internal audit function for the company? Which was a very challenging thing for me because only me, I was 3 years in the job. I didn't have the experience, but I had a mentor, and he still is my mentor. He was the partner in KPMG, and he guided me. I was lucky to have a mentor like him, but I think also everything in life happens for a reason. I think I went to KPMG for a reason. I wanted to meet people that would stay with me till now, till today, that will always be there for me no matter what, and regardless who I am. I am Sheikha. He's going to be there for Sheikha, not
Whatever
for
position.
exactly. Honestly, still have very high regards for this person because he was always giving me his unbiased opinion and advice. It's very important, whether it's a father, whether it's whoever. It's important to have a mentor that will be with you all the time throughout your career.
So, like when you started out, and then you had this huge task of creating basically a new department as well, which is like
And
crazy.
resistance as well, because people were resisting having a department like that.
How did you overcome that resistance? Because was the resistance based on what you had to do, or was it also based on who you were in terms of like, as a family member, or like what was the main thing and how did you personally overcome it?
Three things: a simple answer, attitude, approach, perseverance. So you have to be very persistent and you have to follow up. And this is something I still do till today.
Where did you get your strength?
From my father.
Yeah.
He taught me to always be, you have to always follow up. You have to be there. But I think a rule of thumb and something that will stay with me for life is approach and attitude.
What did you do on days where you wanted to give up?
I had a lot of days where I wanted to give up. I would go to, maybe I would cry maybe sometimes, but there will always be someone, either whether my mentor, whether my sisters, that because I have a very strong bond with my sisters, they would put me back. No, Sheikha, you have to. I would never go and complain to my. I never till today, not a single day I went and complained to my father about anything. And this is something I think he taught us, that we've always been very independent, and we always have to find our own way when it comes to things related to us.
Tell us about the post-pandemic reality of Rotana and the industry.
I think it's even stronger now. As a team, we're stronger because we were able to overcome this pandemic together. So we have a stronger bond now than we ever did, I think, because of what we went through and because we went through it together as a team. It wasn't me, it was the team. So we are stronger. Okay, we adapt to change. Things are moving so fast now because of the demand and because of people are so hungry to travel again.
What are you doing to ensure that that innovation, that culture of innovation, also is maintained when the pressure is maybe not a pandemic, when there's not like, like a crisis moment?
It will continue because you have the people that have their heart for and on the company. They've given us from their heart, and they will continue to do so because the people, we have a lot of loyal people that have been with the company for a very long time. They're there for a reason, right?
How do you capture their ideas and sort of like how do you sort of like compute the feedback?
We're always open to these ideas. And this is why it's the ease of access as well. Because we're a small company, we're accessible and we're very engaged. So accessibility and engagement are very important for you to keep up and capture these ideas and make sure they're being executed.
Tell us maybe about the impact that, for instance, AI or like other technologies, what is going to be the biggest change for you as a sector that you have to accommodate really because of the consumers' behaviors?
I think data. Through data, we're able to know our guest better. It also goes back to the guest because through data, you can make sure that you're providing an exceptional service. You're making sure that you're able to create memories that will last forever.
You said in the beginning your role model has been your father, but then you've also mentioned your sisters who have been a big support in empowering you in certain transitions in your career and maybe when things got tough. Do you have advice for young professionals and maybe in particular women who like, who have the same situation as you do, maybe a founding parent who has created something that they would like to continue or that they would like to add to? What is your advice in terms of like, personal growth and like steps people can take to ensure that they can make a success of it the way that you have?
Have the right knowledge. Knowledge is key. Ask the right questions. Asking the right questions is very, very important. And no matter how small the question is or how silly the question is, you shouldn't care about how people would perceive it. You should have to ask it just anyway. And dedication is very important as well. And for me, I like to set my goals and make sure that they're achieved. And just love what you do. Simply love what you do and do what you love.